Race Day. Hello everybody, I'm Pat Patterson. Welcome to the evening edition of Race Day. Today's Winston Cup race in Pocono, Pennsylvania turned scary when points leader Davey Allison flipped his Ford time and time again in the late stages of the event. It happened when Darrell Waltrip got together down the backstretch with Allison. He went airborne after a series of rolls. The Haviland Ford finally came to rest on the infield. Allison was taken to the local hospital where he currently is listed in stable condition in a monitoring unit. He suffered a contusion on the head, but a CAT scan showed that there were no injuries to the brain. He also broke both bones in the right forearm and fractured his right collarbone. Now, Davey was scheduled to go into surgery tonight for the most serious of these injuries, a fractured and dislocated right wrist. And of course, all of our thoughts are with him tonight. Now, of course, that accident overshadowed today's race, but there was a winner in the Miller Genuine Draft 500, and Stephanie Boyd has our highlights.
After fighting headaches and high fever all week, Davey Allison took the pole, setting a new event record of over 162 miles per hour and led the opening laps. With no cautions during the first 30 circuits, Allison brought his Haviland Ford into the pits under green, and that put Alan Kulwicki up front. The two drivers would continue to swap the lead throughout much of the 200-lap event. The first caution of the day came out on lap 118 for debris on the track. Then on lap 139, Wally Dallenbach Jr. hit the wall, bringing out caution number 2 and another series of pit stops. On lap 149, things got hairy when points leader Davey Allison got together with Darrell Waltrip. It turned into one of the most violent crashes of the year as Allison rolled some 9 times on the backstretch. After a trip to the infield care center, he was transported by helicopter to an area hospital. The final outcome would come down to fuel mileage as veterans Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant tried to stretch theirs to the limit, while frequent leader Kulwicki gassed up and was bearing down hard in third. But the gamble paid off for the Western Auto team as Waltrip had just enough to take him to the checkers for his first win of the season.
You know, a few weeks ago at Dover, we thought we was going to win a race the same way, and we ran out of gas there. So today was made it even harder because Jeff said, DW, I don't know if he can make it or not. I mean, he was just, you know, he's being honest with me. And I guess what helped us the most was being able to get behind Rusty there for those few laps, draft him, and then I just had enough to make it. And that's, you know, that's all there was to it.
Gant held on to finish second, and Kulwicki wound up third. Ricky Rudd and Ted Musgrave were fourth and fifth. This is Stephanie Boyd reporting for Race Day.
All right, Davey's wreck shook things up in the Winston Cup points. Take a look at it. Bill Elliott moves into the first position. That's the first time Davey's been out of the top 5 this year, or the points leader, rather. Alan Kulwicki's down in third. Harry Gant in fourth, and making the first appearance this year in the top 5 is Mark Martin. Now, late last season, the Winston Cup Series announced that it had hired Gary Nelson as the chief inspector. Both NASCAR and most of the Winston Cup teams were excited about the news, since Nelson is a respected and knowledgeable and well-liked competitor. Well, last week, Gary took some time before he headed for Pocono to talk with us about the first 6 months representing NASCAR in the garage area. I asked him what had been the toughest part of his job.
The toughest thing that I've done is bring a crew chief in who I've used to race against, who I consider a friend, who I respect a lot, and have to penalize them for something, fine them or issue some type of a penalty. That's been the hardest, and it's happened 3 or 4 times where it's tough for me, because I knew when I was a crew chief how it felt to be at the other side of that office or that room where somebody was giving me a penalty and telling me all my work I had done for the last couple days was thrown out and I had to start over again. And having to tell that to crew chiefs has really been hard for me.
You've been a crew chief, and as a crew chief, and a very successful one, you know what the words gray area means. Over the past 6 months, I assume that you have had to not only know what gray area means, but have had to really get in there and define gray area. Do you feel like you've been successful at defining the gray area in specific applications?
You know, when I started off this job, that's what I set out to do, was eliminate all the gray area. But as I've been into it now for, what, 7, 8 months, I've found that you eliminate the gray area in one area, but it opens the door to a whole nother group of questions. Okay, if we can't do this, what do we do about this, or what do we do about that? And next thing I found out, there's just an endless amount of doors that we keep opening and going through, and then that presents more problems or more areas to work on. And really what it's become is just refinements to what used to be at one time, you know, there was one template for NASCAR race cars. Now there's 16, and there's probably no end in sight. There's always going to be more things for us to regulate.
Well, you look like you may have a few more gray hairs, but you also got a big smile on your face. So are you still, is this job what you thought it would be, and are you glad you signed on?
It's more than I expected. I really was nervous when I made that decision to join NASCAR. I was really nervous about the part I talked about, having the people that I've respected all the years, having to penalize them or discipline them or whatever. But overall, NASCAR is such a great company. Dick Beatty has given me such support, and Les Richter, so that it's been really almost easy. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be to make that transition. Now that I'm here, I'm comfortable, I'm happy. They really treat me well, and I think hopefully I can help somehow to make the sport better in the future.
And we thank Gary for stopping by. Now, don't you go away, because we've got lots more to come here on Race Day, including highlights from today's IndyCar race. We'll be right back.
In my line of work, we go through a lot of sheet metal. So I know a little something about replacement parts. Did you know that some insurance companies specify cheap imitation hoods, doors, and fenders for GM cars and trucks? It's true. And a lot of that cut-rate stuff doesn't measure up to GM standards. Facts are all right here in this free brochure. But take some advice from a guy who's been through a fender or two. Ask to see your repair order before insurance work begins, and insist on genuine GM parts.
Mom's car really sounds great.
I know. I just changed their spark plugs.
You changed their spark plugs?
Yep.
What kind of plugs do you use?
NGK.
No kidding. You know, most car makers use NGKs. I use them in my race car.
That's where I got our new engine. Now Mom's really gonna like me best.
I don't think so.
NGK spark plugs. Right from the start.
The intelligent engineering that powered this Oldsmobile to a world record 257 miles per hour now moves a new Oldsmobile to over 30 highway miles per gallon. Introducing Achieva by Oldsmobile. Never has so much thought gone into this much fun. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
In our form of racing, it takes about 5,000 horsepower to go from a dead stop to 285 miles an hour in less than 5 seconds. And even under those loads, the oil film holds up. I've been using Pennzoil for over 30 years now, and I've never had a lubrication problem. Well, I would highly recommend Pennzoil to other people. Yeah, it's sure worked good for me. Every record I've ever set in my life has been on Pennzoil. Performance, protection, quality. That's what Pennzoil means to me.
Welcome back, everybody. Michael Andretti was hoping history would repeat itself going into today's IndyCar race in Toronto. For the past 3 years, he's had to come from behind to win the series championship, and a victory in the Molson Indy could put him on track to do it again. Brian Baxter has our highlights.
The IndyCars moved into Canada for the Molson Indy Toronto with Bobby Rahal on the pole to start the race on the 1.8-mile, 11-turn street course. But Michael Andretti again made a gutsy move to jump from third to first and take the lead on lap number 1. Eric Bachelard crashed to bring out an early caution period, and the race restart brought Paul Tracy near the front to challenge Michael Andretti for the lead, but Tracy dropped back and later his car failed. Allenser Jr. was running a solid third in his Galmer car until Mario Andretti couldn't get enough brakes and smacked into Unser, causing him to spin out. And once again, it came down to Bobby Rahal to challenge Michael Andretti for the win. The two nearly crashed on their first round of pit stops, and Rahal ran close all day, but the PPG points leader had to stop a third time late in the race to take on extra fuel, and that left the victory in Toronto to Michael Andretti.
We're sure trying. You know, Bobby's doing his work. He keeps finishing.
Well, I mean, I think we were giving Michael a run. We just didn't get all the fuel in the tank on that last pit stop, and that kind of shot the race for us. But car ran beautifully, and it's just we seemed a little quicker in places. He got through traffic a little better than I did, but all in all, it was a good race for us.
It was Michael Andretti's 25th career win and his second straight flag-to-flag victory at Toronto. Bobby Rahal finished second, Danny Sullivan third. I'm Brian Baxter reporting.
All right, and what did it all mean in the points? Well, Bobby Rahal still leads Michael Andretti by 34 points. Third is Al Unser Jr., just 9 points off Andretti. Emerson Fittipaldi is back in fourth, and Danny Sullivan still in the top 5. Now, before today's IndyCar race, IndyCar officials made a major announcement. A new board of directors has been established by CART, which would combine that organization with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway through the end of 1993. Now, joining us by phone to tell us about that development is David Elshoff, who is the IndyCar publicity director. And David, my big question is does this change the sanctioning structure at Indianapolis for the 500 at all? And what else can you tell us about the significance of today's announcement?
Well, Pat, it does not change the sanctioning structure of Indy. It will continue to be a United States Auto Club sanctioned race. We would agree with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that they do a fine job in their efforts there. They're tailored to do that, but at the same time, we do a fine job in our efforts here, and I think we'll continue to sanction our events. The significance is what it will allow us and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, in conjunction with the United States Auto Club, to do is create one rule book. And in fact, the second part of today's big announcement here in Toronto was the final alignment of the 1993 IndyCar chassis rules. We have aligned our aerodynamic specifications to those announced earlier by USAC.
All right, so what really may make a difference here is we may be talking about a money issue. In other words, everybody's going to be coming there running the same equipment that you run on the regular IndyCar Series circuit.
Yeah, anytime you have two sets of rules, of course, you're making custom pieces, so to speak, for one special race, and indeed that is expensive, and we are always looking at ways to cut costs in IndyCar racing. I think the teams certainly acknowledge that, and they'll look forward to working under one set of rules. I think you'll see a 1993 rule book with two logos on it, that of IndyCar and that of USAC.
All right, David, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and thanks for a great event up in Toronto today.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, coming up next, we've got highlights from today's IMSA race, plus we'll have plenty more action from around the country as race day rolls on.
So, how do you spend your weekend? Mowing the grass? Watching the games on TV? Or maybe something a little less ambitious? We spend hours at the racetrack testing new innovations, developing new technology to make the Toyota you buy perform as well as it possibly can. After all, we wouldn't want you to lose any sleep over it.
Anything you can handle, we can handle. Yokohama high-performance tires.
It lurks in the shadows. A 5-ton red-eyed monster ready to crush its prey. It's Gravedigger, the high-flying, all-inspiring megastar of motorsports. We'll take you outside and inside the world's wildest monster truck.
Here we are in the cockpit of the Gravedigger. What I run is a big block Chevrolet.
Watch Gravedigger's toughest competition do their talking.
Dennis Anderson, he's a wimp. I'm not afraid of him. He's nothing.
off and on the track, with wild wheel-to-wheel action. It's Gravedigger coming at you in this all-new, never-before-seen home video spectacular. Gravedigger, the video. Order now.
To order Gravedigger, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-842-4444. That's 1-800-842-4444. Or send check or money order to this address. Order now.
The roar of the burn, the thunder in the bite, the power of perfection, unleashing its awesome energy in a year of rocketing record breakers and forceful fireballs. New names and new machines are setting the stage for the next generation. So buckle up. TNN Motorsports is taking you for a ride. Live from Denver, final rounds of the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. Next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, only on TNN Motorsports.
Race Day is brought to you by Toyota Motorsports, where technology on a fast track is built into every Toyota car and truck you buy.
Welcome back, everybody. Juan Fangio trailed IMSA GT points leader Davy Jones by a mere 3 points going into the race at Laguna Seca. And with just a handful of contests left this season, it was every man for himself. Neil Kassabaum reports.
Juan Fangio II took the lead from pole sitter and Toyota teammate P.J. Jones on lap 1 of the 2-hour event. He was trying to make up for a mistake in this event last year that cost him the victory. It was a short day for defending series champion Jeff Brabham, who was the first car out on lap 14. And although not out of the championship race, it would take a miracle for him to get the title again. Davy Jones and his Jaguar tried to maintain his points lead, but even though he ran good all day, he couldn't overtake the Toyotas. Bryce Cobb in the Mazda looked like he was going to score another top 5 for his team, but a fuel pump problem took him out of contention. But even when Fangio pitted for fuel with less than 18 minutes left in the event, he never gave up the lead and went on for his 5th victory of the season. Davy Jones finished 3rd on the lead lap with the Toyotas. Harry Lyondike was 4th and helped Jaguar remain in the manufacturer's point race. And David Tennyson completed the top 5. I'm Neil Kassabaum, reporting for Race Day.
All right, here is our Toyota IMSA scoreboard, and you can see that Juan Fangio has about 7 points over Davy Jones. Jeff Brabham's way back in 3rd. P.J. Jones is in 4th, and Oscar Larari rounds out the top 5. Now, for the past 9 years, the folks at Eldora Speedway in Ohio have been putting $50,000 on the line for one of the richest and most prestigious events in all of sprint car racing. It's the annual Kings Royal, and trying to claim the title is a royal challenge.
As nighttime fell, the anticipation grew. Then finally, the green flag dropped. Right off the bat, there was trouble in turn 4. Number 2, Ed Lynch, and number 14, Ricky Hood, were the victims. On the restart, it was number 10, Jack Hodenschild, quickly moving into the lead. Behind him was Bobby Davis, with Sammy Swindell in the number 1 car making his way from 4th to 3rd. Dave Blaney in the Vivarin car saw his night come to an end as he got crunched coming out of turn 4. On the restart, it was still Hodenschild in the lead, while a couple of spots back, Steve Kinzer in the 11 car was passing Swindell for 3rd. Then Stevie K made his move on 2nd, once again going low to take the spot from Davis. As Kinzer set his sights on the leader, a real battle got underway. Then came that old familiar low move, and Stevie was up front with Hodenschild dropped to 2nd. It wasn't long, though, till Swindell made it 3rd, then Hodenschild completely checked out with a blown tire. That set up the battle between Kinzer and Swindell, with the 2 drivers moving way ahead of the field. But when Kinzer hit a lap car going into turn 1, it was all over for him, and Swindell led the final 5 laps to claim his first ever Kings Royal crown.
You know, it's definitely sweet. You know, like I said, I thought we had a shot a couple times, but we couldn't get to the end. And I don't know, the way the track was pretty tough on stuff with the big clods and stuff. We went through a couple nose wings just in the one race, and you know, we went through some parts, but the thing held up and got us here.
Behind Swindell was Stevie Smith Jr., then it was Johnny Herrera, Craig Keel, and Kenny Jacobs rounding out the top 5.
I don't know what's better, wearing that hat or getting the 50 grand. Straight ahead on Race Day, we'll have another wrap-up of action from around the country, including the latest in dirt racing. Stay with us.
He wonders if I even notice that visual perfection produces unbelievably deep, rich, glowing color. an intense, dazzling, brilliant shine. I do. Visual perfection by Eagle One, the ultimate auto polish.
Some people say it's impossible to tell where the flesh and blood stops and the machine begins. But it really doesn't matter. Because whenever you put Ivan Ironman Stewart together with a Toyota truck, you know where they're gonna finish.
In my career, I've had a lot of good things happen to me. Of course, there were a few headaches, but that's when I'd reach for a Goody's headache powder, and I'm not alone. In a recent survey, doctors preferred the Goody's formula too, by more than 3 to 1 over BC's. And only Goody's beats a headache the way I prefer, in record-breaking time.
All right. Makes you feel so good again.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?
Skin Bracer Aftershave by Menon.
Very next opportunity, honey, I'm gonna give me a young man.
One thing KT Osborne will never wear out is her welcome. When she stars in the USO Celebrity Tour KT Osborne Special, Monday night on TNN.
And welcome back, everybody. The IndyCar Series didn't have the corner on the racing market in Canada this weekend. The Dirt Series also made its way north of the border, putting on quite a show for the locals.
The third leg of the DIRT-ASPHALT Challenge Series brought out the cream of the crop. This is defending Miller 300 champion Brett Hearn's brand new Olsen car. But Hearn and the rest of the Dirt Stars would have to chase two-time Senair winner Barefoot Bob McCready, who is very confident with his new car.
Car's perfect.
The field of battle this day would be the Senair Superspeedway outside Montreal, a 7/8 mile paved tri-oval. McCready's experimental car was like a rocket ship in the first half of the race. The Watertown, New York native started 9th and wasted no time in coming to the front of the pack. On lap 52 of the 92-lap contest, McCready caught and passed leader Billy Decker and went on to win.
Well, this place is real fast, and I really respect it here. And they dropped the green and just kind of feel your way through the thing, you know. And the car really was a little loose, and we just rode along, and as the race progressed, it got neutral. And at the end, the car was really good. I mean, we tested with it for a few weeks and really got it nailed down good. So this was kind of anticlimactic. We knew the car was good when we got here, but you need that luck. You need everything to go your way.
It was McCready's third win in a row at Senair. He was followed across the line by Danny Johnson, Frank Cozy, Kevin Collins, and Doug Hoffman. Monday night, it was back to the dirt for a race at the half-mile Autodrome Granby in Granby, Quebec. In this Skoal Super Dirt Series stop, Doug Hoffman was the star of the evening, driving car number 1. McCready, driving car number 9, tried desperately to catch him, but wound up tangling with car number 22, driven by Gino Claire. Hoffman was unchallenged the entire distance, and he claimed the victory. He was followed across the line by Steve Payne, Alan Johnson, Craig Von Doren, and Brett Hearn. On Wednesday night at Autodrome Drummond, it was Hearn's turn to shine as he dominated the field in this Skoal Super Dirt Series stop. Hearn claimed the victory handily, with Billy Decker finishing second. Doug Hoffman was third, Kenny Tremont was fourth, and Frank Cozy rounded out the top 5.
All right, science has not proven it, but the need to race must be a gene in the human body. For if a machine has wheels and an engine, someone will want to race it. And that's the basic reason for the American Scooter Racing Association.
They admit to being an odd mix of enthusiasts. There are scooter club people, skateboarders, and a few skinheads. But they are all dedicated to compete on the scooter. The ASRA has 8 racing classes that range from stock, right out of the box, to the Unlimiteds.
The classes go all the way from box stock up to fully unlimited. In the unlimited class, all you really need is the front forks and the motor out of a scooter. You can build your own frame and just go for it. So you'll see a lot of bikes out here that have handmade aluminum frames or chromoly frames and custom gas tanks and all that. The things don't look anything like a scooter.
One of the main attractions to scooter racing is that the cost to get involved can run from under $1,000 for a stock one to over $7,000 for an unlimited, which has a top end of 110 miles per hour. Not bad for a piece of equipment with an 8-horsepower engine and 10-inch non-racing wheels and tires. So what is the attraction to this new motorsport?
Anybody can walk into a Yamaha or Honda dealership and buy a motorcycle and go out and race it. And, you know, that's a blast. I mean, I have nothing against that, but what we do is so unique that it, you know, it provides a certain thrill that you just can't get, you know, buying something off the shelf and racing it.
It's a little bit different. There's not too many people where I come from doing it, so it's sort of neat that I'm unique, the only one doing it.
Really a hairball, because there's like 20 guys out on the track. You're within inches of other scooters. There's a lot of sliding out there.
Go fast on small wheels.
There are approximately 300 scooter racers across the country, and one day the ASRA hopes to have its riders reach a professional skill level to challenge their European counterparts for a world championship.
Scooting right along, finally, here's a story that you can be a part of. A little over a month ago, off-road racer Rod Millen and his wife Shannon had a baby, but a problem with the baby's heart has kept it from growing. Doctors say that Connor Millen needs a heart transplant to survive. To help that effort, racing pioneer Carol Shelby has set up a special fund. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can send your contributions to the address in California in care of the Shelby Heart Fund. Connor is at Loma Linda University, and if a donor can be found, the success rate for transplants at that hospital is a whopping 82%. See, you can make a difference. All right, that's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to join us again next Sunday morning, 11:30 Eastern, for our early edition of Race Day. I'm Pat Patterson. Have a great week, everybody.
Guest of Race Day, stay at the luxurious Hyatt Charlotte at South Park, conveniently located in Charlotte's exclusive South Park district. Feel the Hyatt touch by calling 1-800-233-1234. Communications provided by Racing Radios, the official communications of NASCAR, CART, IMSA, NHRA, IHRA, and ARCA. And Corporate Image, the official supplier of sportswear for Race Day, and the exclusive merchandiser of Richard Petty's 1992 Fan Appreciation Tour. For a catalog or to order by phone, call 1-800-467-RACE.